I have been absolutely obsessed with theme parks since I was 8 years old. I still remember waking up on a Friday in August 2008, my mom and dad excited as ever, telling me that we were going to Disney World, with me responding right back with a very elated, "Why?" I eventually realized we were, in fact, going to the Dream Factory, and after spending a week in the four theme parks and a day at Universal Studios, I have basically spent every day of my life thinking about the rides and the worlds and the structures and the vibes of these parks, wanting and trying to go back any chance I could. I can't really describe why I love theme parks so much, especially if you are someone who doesn't enjoy the theme parks yourself. I think a certain aspect of it was I was just the right age for the theme parks to really hit. And of course, these are the last memories I really had before my parents got divorced. So that probably plays a hand, one that I still talk to my therapist about on the regular. The lands, the rides, the shows all felt real to me, and it just felt so different from any place I'd ever been to, and especially different from my suburban Illinois town. I think what keeps bringing me back, this idea of escapism and all of the ingenuity, craft, and artistry that comes with it. Not to mention that I just really love rides. Like, who doesn't love waiting an hour or more to then be jostled around for a few minutes while your ears are attacked by subwoofers and sometimes a cartoon dragon you love farts in your face? Sounds like a relaxing vacation to me. Joking aside, rides are actually pretty great examples of immersive storytelling per square inch or second, whatever metric you prefer. The best rides set up a story, get you immersed in that story in a short amount of time, and get you in and get you out even quicker. They create realistic but fantastical worlds with incredible art direction and memorable stories with sometimes even original characters who are unforgettable despite the short amount of time you get to experience that ride. They feel cinematic, they feel immersive, especially when they're hitting on all cylinders. You would think this would lead to great film adaptations, just like books or comic books do. You would think that there would be a theme park cinematic universe, at least when it comes to Disney's rides. But outside of a few hits like the first few Pirates of the Caribbean films, theme park movies have largely been inconsequential, bombs, uninteresting, or just downright terrible. Seeing as I'm a big fan of the Disney theme parks and I also love movies, I thought it would be interesting to go over and cover all of the film adaptations of Disney rides and see how they came to be, how they stack up, what went wrong, and what went right, and to see if they deserved better. This edition will be looking at 1997's Tower of Terror, the first ever Disney ride to be turned into a movie, which basically no one knows or everyone has just chosen to forget. Full disclosure, the way that I'm deciding a movie should be reviewed as part of this series is if the ride occurred before the movie, not the other way around. Something like Star Wars is not going to be covered in any part of the series since Star Wars came out long before Star Tours or Rise of the Resistance did. The list I'm using is actually from the trusty Wikipedia, which has a solid list of 13 movies Disney has made over the last 25 years or so. With that said, let's get into the 1997 Disney Channel adaptation of Disney's Hollywood Studios' seminal attraction, Tower of Terror. The Twilight Zone Tower of Terror is my absolute favorite attraction of all time. I'm not one who really goes for horror or scary things, but when they're done well with a fun story, ambiance, and a thrilling and innovative ride, well, I can make an exception. To this day, for my money, there's no better ride on the planet. Story, the ambiance, the freaky check-in room, the build-up, the pre-show, the boiler room, and the actual ride, which sees your elevator move like no elevator can and sends you through the actual Twilight Zone, all goes hand in hand to create a thrilling attraction with an incredible story that sticks with you long after you have left the park gates. I actually think the Tower of Terror is ripe for a cinematic adaptation, as it is already cinematic in its own way. And the story is pretty simple but interesting. Essentially, if you have no prior knowledge of this ride, the setup is long ago in the 1940s. There were famous movie stars staying at the Hollywood Tower Hotel, and one night the hotel was struck by lightning while they were in the elevator, cursing the hotel and leaving it dormant until your time on the ride. It's a pretty fun setup as it harkens back to the Hollywood of old. You could easily see a world where this gets adapted into a movie that is basically the Disney equivalent of The Shining. They are making one allegedly with Disney's old pal Scarlett Johansson, but while we wait for that, there's actually already a film adaptation from 26 years ago that we can watch and enjoy right now. Okay, enjoy is probably a stretch, but we can watch it if you can find it on YouTube. Okay, without further ado, this is my review of the 1997 classic Tower of Terror movie. I know that took forever. So before we get into that, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share with your friends. Any little bit helps. Also, I think it was 27 years ago, but We're going to just keep going because I want to make a video and get it out. We open with a musical scene welcoming us into the Hollywood Tower Hotel in 1939. There's a band playing, people are dancing, and the stage is set for a night that will transform this hotel forever. One thing to note, because you will see this throughout the movie, is that we will be treated to a lot of what seems to be promotional material of the Tower of Terror being reused. I guess it makes sense to use the exterior, especially since this is the de facto ad for the ride. But literally, some of the things we see just looks like they took an ad from the Disney Vault and made it black and white, which is sort of disappointing. They could have made their own awesome art, but they just reuse stuff meant for ads instead of doing anything original. I'm also pretty sure they reuse or film a good amount of the actual ride in the movie. Like, for sure, the exteriors and gate is the ride in Florida, and the lobby might even be the ride too. This is fine, but again, just taking stuff from the ride instead of doing anything new or expanding on it is a bit sad. Pirates of the Caribbean didn't just shoot in the ride. They actually made their own sets in the Caribbean. They made their own worlds. They added on to what had come before. At the end of the day, I'm fine with the exterior because you can't beat the actual Tower Hotel, but I just was hoping for a bigger or more cinematic version of the lobby, I guess, even if the lobby is one of the best parts of the ride. Anyways, in this opening scene, after noting how this in no way has any Twilight Zone branding, we seemingly meet our main characters of the film and watch them step into an elevator as lightning strikes. Pay attention to how the nanny leans over and tries to protect the child. It'll come up later. But this is the setup for the movie, and it's the same setup for the ride. 5 souls comprised of the Hollywood elite step into an elevator during a thunderstorm. As they are heading to the top, the tower is struck by lightning and they vanish. It's a good, simple setup, and I think this opening does a solid job of retelling that. Only issue is what comes next. After the opening, we encounter a doctor examining an alien, or possibly an audition, or some sort of kinky photographer shoot. Anyways, we meet Steve Gutenberg, our main character of the movie, who plays Buzzy, who is taking a fake photo for a fake story with his fake niece, I mean, real niece, Anna, who is played by Kirsten Dunst. Yes, yeah. NJ.
Do not grow up to be an actor.
Yes! Oh, you're wicked great. Thanks.
It's really not clear as to what exactly he is doing here or why he thinks he can get away with this shoot. It's explained that he works for a tabloid and is known for covering weird stuff. But like every tabloid I've ever seen just covers the Kardashians or like Obama's suit colors or something. So I don't really understand what he's trying to achieve with this. He works for what seems to be the in-universe version of the National Enquirer. So I don't know why he feels the need to stage something like this. If it pays the bills, I guess it pays the bills. But anyways, Buzzy is a fake news journalist man, but his arc is that he wants to cover real news. So he goes to pitch a story to his ex-girlfriend. This movie really throws a lot at you about this guy when you just want to see the Tower of Terror stuff. That's really my biggest issue with this story, is that a Tower of Terror movie should just be about that time period the lightning strike happens and nothing else. Modern day real world stuff is not interesting or vital to the story at all, and having to sit through this disgusting dialogue makes that feeling even worse.
Do you remember that crummy little seafood place in Malibu where the fish kind of taste like shoes?
Yeah?
Have dinner together.
Why, Buzzy?
Because I miss you, Jill.
Buzzy arrives back home, dejected and disappointed, only to find that Abigail, who was at the hotel on the night of the lightning strike, is in his house because I guess the dude next door just lets anyone into people's homes. I would take my key back so fast if this dude ever did this to me, just saying, I assume him, I don't know, whatever had to be done. After being a little freaky gal for a bit.
Don't you mock me. I have lived my whole life with the memory of what happened that horrible night.
Lady, calm down.
Abigail eventually asks Buzzy to go and investigate the hotel because she thinks that the nanny, Emmeline, was a witch who tried to curse the child actress she was taking care of, named Sally, only for it to backfire. Here is another issue with the film already. The flashback here uses the same footage in the opening where you can see the nanny protect Sally. I guess I won't spoil anything here, but like, come on, Tower Terror movie, you can't trick me. Buzzy agrees and goes to the hotel, only to meet Q, the caretaker, who has never been inside and just seems kind of like that kid you went to school with who got into trouble because they could never just sit the fuck down. After some annoying Disney Channel style humor, Buzzy goes inside to find a book of spells, uttering that Abigail is right, even though this doesn't really prove anything.
She's right.
He surveys the rest of the hotel before leaving while he is watched with an apparition of the nanny. Like, movie, I get what you're trying to set up. You're just not doing it well. Buzzy eventually hires an actress named Claire to stage photos for his tabloid, and this is where we really feel the effects of the narrative's desire to do anything but spooky stuff for more than a minute. Buzzy and Claire seemingly hit it off, only for him to admit he's more interested in setting up a story and getting his old job back rather than helping the ghosts, which she, who has only been in the movie for like 5 minutes, is upset about.
This is the most incredible story in history. I can prove there were real ghosts.
Tomorrow's Halloween.
First off, why does she care? She's been in the movie like no time, and why should we care about this dude getting his job back? Well, they're trying to make it obvious, so I'll leave the answer to you. The main narrative or arc of the story so far has been Buzzy getting his job back instead of the story focusing on the tower. It's like making a King Kong movie and only using him for like 5 minutes. It makes your story milquetoast and boring, provides zero style, and it's really hard to care about anyone when we're just in boring modern day stuff. After Buzzy tries to pitch his idea, his old ex-girlfriend decides to do a check on Abigail, where we find out she lives at a sanitarium, is actually the sister of the child actress who was in the elevator, and that it was indeed Abigail who bewitched the elevator that night, as she was angry due to Sally's fame and everyone forgetting her birthday. Couple this with Kirsten Dunst being seemingly attacked by the ghosts, only for one of the ghosts to literally be Claire, and for the nanny to be immediately defensive about bewitching Sally, and we have quite the clunker reveals after such an obvious setup and boring execution. I'm not asking for the mystery to end all mysteries. I know this was just an ABC movie, but it's not much to ask for some suspense or some spookiness. I want to be spooked. Spook me. Buzzy and crew deduce that in order to break the curse, they must fix the elevator so they can finally reach the top floor of the party on Halloween. Buzzy has a flirtatious moment with a dead woman and decides to help the ghosts reach the top floor. They enlist the help of Q to fix the elevator before Jill arrives to tell Buzzy that he does have a story and has to run the story before the end of the day, basically welcoming him back to his old job, but abandoning the ghosts in Anna and Q. My question here is literally why this story couldn't have waited until the next day. Not only is this story not exactly breaking news, there isn't really conclusion to the whole thing. There's still a lot of research and writing to be done. And also, doesn't Buzzy have to go through the onboard hiring process? There's like social securities and direct deposit shit to set up. Like, you got to do your taxes. You have to do that before you can get hired. We have to find out if this guy's a criminal. He could be a criminal. So, anyways, they start to repair the hotel. Q meets his grandfather, Dewey. And it doesn't really matter, but there's just no chance that these two are related. Just look at him. That's all I'm saying. There's no chance. Q fixes the elevator as Dewey and Anna just stand there while Abigail begins casting a spell to finally finish what she had started so long ago. Q gets the elevator to start coming down while Anna finds Abigail completing the spell. Of course, this is juxtaposed with the ghost being very sure of the elevator working, which just gets really annoying. Anna gets on the elevator to stop it for some reason, while Sally is left off with Buzzy arriving just too late. Abigail finally admits that her jealousy of Sally did end up leading to her casting the spell, which quite honestly is just a lame explanation to the lightning strike. This is one of those things where you really don't need an explanation, especially one like this, because the lightning strike is the explanation for these people to disappear. And that alone is cool. You don't need this sappy stuff. The reveal about the party that day being a surprise party just doesn't hit that well. And it's just hard to care about. Like, the super cool theme park ride existing is because of a fight between two little girls. Come on. The gang races against time to save Anna and the ghosts, and Dewey suddenly remembers there's an escape hatch to the side they can use. Like, bro, you worked here how long and you let some bozo alive person save the day? As time runs out, Sally forgives Abigail and the spell is broken. The alive people take the stairs to the Tip Top Club, and after a few more reunions and happy moments, the party disappears just like it does in real life. I don't know why these people are so enamored with the party ending and everybody disappearing. This happens every time I go to one. We see Abigail one last time in kid form, joined by her sister before they disappear too, and Q resolves to reopen the Hollywood Tower Hotel. For some reason, they make the front of the newspaper, but at last, this film is finally over. I cannot imagine a more milquetoast, cliche, boring version of the greatest theme park of all time, but somehow Disney made it. There are no chilling moments in this. There's no spookiness. There's no sense of Twilight Zone storytelling or ambiance. This film does nothing to recapture the vibes of the ride, let alone the thrilling nature of it. It's really hard for me to even connect this movie to the ride at all. Yeah, the story is inspired by it, but there's no energy or character behind it. It kind of feels like if you played a game of telephone or something. It's disappointing because I think there's a cool, freaky, fun movie make based off this concept, but this just doesn't cut it. There was a rumor a few years ago of a Scarlett Johansson Tower of Terror movie happening, and given the lack of success of the Haunted Mansion movie in 2023, it's not super clear if Disney is willing to actually continue making movie versions of their rides. But hey, that's for a later video. For right now, this Tower of Terror movie kind of sucks. It's clear why everyone chooses to forget it. As for me, I'll be avoiding elevators for a while. Thanks for watching.